Hello, 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 and welcome, my Cancerian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your twin flame reading for February, March 2020. Although timeless, whenever you watch it is when you are destined to see it. I am your reader, Angelo, Lyons, Mal for short, president of Join the Circle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, and honored to be serving Cancerians. My mother is a Cancerian, so on her behalf, I'm glad to be here. She gave birth to me, she raised me right, and yeah. Let's get into this gig, shall we? Couple of things, please, if you're new to my channel, please do like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, leave comments as you like, because I'm really having a field day being a YouTuber. And there is actually a video that I did in the description box below. A thank you to my subscribers for getting me over that 1,000K mark. We are setting up the Drunk Tarot and Super Live Chat and all of that stuff that will be coming relatively soon in the next week or so for sure. Cool. That being said, as far as this read goes, it is a general read. Please take what resonates, leave what doesn't, check your other signs. That's why I do Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, but I also try and keep them entertaining to the best of my ability with twin flame contracts. You'll see why if you're new to my channel, but also informative so that you can actually get some clues, tips, and hints in terms of your own healing. Now, I do have a Facebook group, a private Facebook group called Angelo, Lyons, Mal for short. There's a link in the description box below for that too, where I stream pretty much not every day, but you know, like I do card draws and we do prayers and meditations and stuff like that. So if you're looking for a little extra support, you can find me there as well. And it's a really fun group. You're allowed to curse like a sailor, but you're not allowed to be mean. That's my boundary, because why? I'm the fun one. That's why. That being said, this is a twin flame contract reading, not the same as a soul mate contract reading. They're very different contracts, both soul contracts, both pre-incarnational agreements that you make with other souls to work things out in certain ways. But the soulmate is when you help each other heal. The twin flame is when you teach each other how to heal yourselves. You teach each other how to love yourself. You teach each other how to set boundaries. And that's usually in the most tumultuous, transformative, tricky, troublesome, triggery way possible. Nor are your soulmates and your twin flame contracts always romantic sexual. They can be in any way, shape, or form, familial, work, all that kind of stuff. And nor do you have only one. You have many twin flames throughout many lifetimes, as well as many soulmates, because one helps you heal, the other one teaches you how to heal. Sort of like how the grain of sand teaches the oyster how to make a pearl. Look it up, it ain't pretty. Very irritating, as a matter of fact. So that being said, all I really need you to do is keep two things in mind. Number one is we're going to be looking at it like a contract. Party A, Party B, person number one, person number two, but we're going to be calling it divine feminine on this side, divine masculine on this side. I prefer divine yin, divine yang, but we're in the West, so we're calling it divine feminine and divine masculine. Has nothing to do with bodily gender. Like yin and yang doesn't have anything to do with bodily gender. We all have both. But it certainly has to do with energetic dynamic. I myself consider myself a divine feminine, but you know, put me around the right guy, I'm a divine masculine. It just sort of happens. We are all fluid in that sense. Cool? So you're gonna have to use your intuition to kind of tune into which one are you in the contract. Keeping in mind that twin flames, there's often a lot of mirroring going on, so it might be hard to tell, and again, just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It'll save you the headache. And I'm talking to a water sign, so you'll know by what's going on in your gut more than your head what resonates for you. Cool. The other thing I'm going to ask you to do, please focus on your breath. The more you are in the present moment by focusing on, partnering with, being with the breath, the more here and now you are, the more the divine. It's not that you have more or less access, it's just you're more aware. The divine is always in the present moment. So you'll see me take a deep breath and say the word still point. what I do is I'm like ringing this imaginary bell, a silent bell in my heart, sort of signaling the divine, okay, here we go, right? And then phoom, it comes through me. If you're doing the same thing, you're tuning to your reading from the divine, from the inside, right? You get it? So you're sort of getting it from both ends, so to speak. Ready? Let's do this. Take a nice deep breath. Still point. We're going to start with Caroline Myss archetype cards. All the cards, the decks that I read, I should say, are in the description box all the way at the bottom. Lots of cool links for my books and my on-demand stuff on the way down. Cool, cool. We're going to get 3 cards, one for the Divine Feminine. Oh, right, we're not divvying them up this way. That's the soulmate read. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're going to get 1 card for the Divine Feminine, 1 card for the Divine Masculine, and 1 for the overall contract, right? And these have been really helpful, but they've all been really intense. And you're my 4th reading, right? Cancerian's 4th house. The Companion archetype card has showed up for the first 3. Let's see if we're 4 for 4. That's weird. Like, and you see how, and I shuffle these cards from the second I come on camera, right? So let's do this. Still point. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved. Please, I need 3 cards. 1 for the Divine Feminine, 1 for the Divine Masculine, and 1 for the overall Cancerian collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract for February, March 2020, or timeless, whenever these people are supposed to be watching this, please. So can you put 1 in my hand for the Divine Feminine? Ooh, 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 I feel you. Wasn't the top one, but I felt it. 1 for the Divine Masculine, please, in this contract, the Divine Masculine. There you go. And 1 for the contract overall, this Cancerian collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract, February, March 2020. Now keep in mind before I flip these, just because if you're new to the channel you need to know this, all archetypes are neutral, a balance of shadow and light, lead and gold, toxic and healthy, but there are attributes written on the card, and I start with the shadow attribute, the toxic, the lead, sort of get it out of the way, and they're supposed to trigger you. They're the toxic stuff, the stuff that you keep in the shadow, that you don't want anybody to know about, and sometimes to the extent you don't even want to know you're capable of it. But we all are. All archetypes exist within the collective unconscious, and we are all manifestations of the collective. So let's look at our Divine Feminine, who we got here. Tricky, man. These twin flame reads. The Saboteur archetype. Now here's the thing. Everybody has the Saboteur archetype. It's part of the survival family of archetypes. Everybody has the child, the victim, the saboteur, and the prostitute. It's how we learn. And the prostitute's not about sex necessarily. A very tiny percentage of it is. The saboteur is the guardian of your life-changing decisions, decisions of empowerment or disempowerment. So this is supposed to trigger you because everybody on planet Earth struggles with empowerment and disempowerment. And by the way, my favorite cartoon saboteur archetype is Wile E. Coyote, right? That the mind, because it just has the perfect strategy, bites you in the ass every time, right? Reason. So the shadow attribute induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others, right? Like self-destructive behavior, like you're ready to achieve this great big empowering thing and then you shoot yourself in the foot, so to speak, right? Or you're just about to, complete the detox of whatever it is and then you go back and you do the thing you're detoxing from, right? That's just very standard. And by the way, backsliding is part of the plan too. It's interesting to look at the saboteur archetype through the lens that the divine plan, everything's scripted. So even your disempowerments, your sabotaged moments, whether you're sabotaging yourself or someone else, all part of the journey, all happening for you to learn, to heal, to grow. That everything that happens in life, including your own toxic choices, are all woven into the divine plan. It's like the divine plan has an immune system. It's self-correcting. So even if they want you to turn right and you make a left, 2 wrongs don't make a right, 3 lefts make a right. Like, so they will give you 3 lefts to make you go in the direction that you want to go in, and you'll show up exactly where you're supposed to be on time. So there's flexibility there, but you can't fuck up the divine plan. The divine always has a plan in play, and we can't screw it up because we have no idea what it is. So you just do the best that you can. So do you see how life-changing decisions, how empowerment and disempowerment is what it's all about? Light attribute highlights your fear of self-empowerment and the changes it would bring in your life. It's like, well, I would step up and speak up for myself, but then I'd probably lose this job, right? Or I would say that this person is cheating or stealing or something, but then I would be a target, right? So it's those life-changing decisions, but it's a power of the soul, the saboteur. Now, some archetypes have a positive and a negative name to go with each side of the shadow and the light. The saboteur, obviously, the shadow. The light side I call the empowerer, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-E-R, the empowerer, one who empowers themselves or others. So think of that in terms of this twin flame relationship. There's something here about your survival, probably more your physical, emotional survival than your mental or spiritual, but we'll see. And I say the physical, emotional because you're divine feminine, right? Element of earth and water usually, not that you don't have air and fire. Let's look at our divine masculine here. Oh, the teacher archetype has also popped up in one of the previous readings. Who had the teacher? Taurus had the teachers. That was the divine masculine. So we've got the divine masculine teacher twice in 4 readings. Well, at least we didn't get the companion again, which is fine. I love the companion archetype. I have the companion archetype, just not dominant. So the teacher, I have dominant. And I think we know the shadow teacher. If you haven't, go watch the movie Pink Floyd, The Wall. You get a pretty good example. Manipulating or abusing students. Teaching negative traits and destructive skills. Now keep in mind, we are all teachers. We teach by example, but what are you teaching? This person need not be, this divine masculine, need not be a literal teacher, like standing up in front of a classroom with a pen board, right? The light attribute, ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. So there's a means of communication that this person has and able to impart something. I've been a teacher since birth, I think. My mother was, but still is a teacher. She's retired and she's teaching up at Skidmore now, like these side classes, because she loves teaching. I inherited that from her. We get each other that way. See, my mom is my soulmate. We help each other heal. My father, bless his soul, was my twin flame. We loved each other, but we could never give each other the love and acceptance because he was nuts and I was gay. So let's leave it at that. Doesn't mean we didn't love each other, but I had to learn how to love myself. You see how twin flames work? They transform you. Like from cookie dough to cookie, the journey sucks, but woo, I'm a cookie, right? It really works. So the saboteur and the teacher feels a little... what is that, a troublesome, a turbulent dynamic to begin with, just seeing those two next to each other. So what's the overall archetype for the relationship itself, at least where it is right now? The thief archetype. Something's being stolen. Now, not necessarily money or property or something physical right away. It can be attention, right? You ever see somebody just steal attention or like steal a conversation? But it can also be what they call now intellectual property. Someone's idea, right? You ever steal somebody's thunder? Yeah. So let me read this for you. The shadow attribute. Stealing money, creative ideas, affection, or other powers you think you lack. So there might be this mutual shadow stealing back and forth, like stealing energy. Ooh, Celestine prophecy, James Redfield, 4th and 5th insight, I think. Yeah, if you haven't read it, and even if you have, go check that out. There might be a competition for power going on in this one, energy. The light attribute, what you're shooting for, the shadow is important because in the saboteur and in the teacher, that's what you're learning how to heal yourself of. But the relationship you both have this in common. The light attribute is what you're shooting for. Sheds light on the potential wealth within you that can never be stolen. So even the contemplation of, well, what is it that can't be stolen from me? Right? I love the way they say it. The potential wealth. Well, your ability to love. Yes, your heart can be broken, grief-stricken, your trust can be demolished, but those things can be healed and rebuilt. Love is who you are. It is your infinite resource. Even if all you can do is say, God bless you, I love you, may you be blessed. You don't have to feel it, you just have to mean it, right? So very, very tricky twin flame contract here, holy crap. So those are our three dominant energies. Every other card that hits the table will be in clarification of those three to paint a larger picture of guidance and grace. We're going to turn to the angels with the Healing with the Angels Oracle by Doreen Virtue to get one card for each of the three. Her, him, and them, right? Again, we're not talking about biological gender here. So, you know, the thing is, I could see somebody identifying, well, because everybody has the Saboteur archetype, right? So you may not like it, but everybody has that one. So it's really, at this point, figuring out which one you are. Is it about the teacher? And if you're both teachers, because everybody teaches, what are you teaching? Tricky. So let's add a layer. Let's ask the angels. Whew. Still point. Oh, my angels, that felt so good. Please. 3 cards. 1 for the Divine Feminine Saboteur, 1 for the Divine Masculine Teacher, and 1 for this Cancerian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract for February, March 2020, or timeless whenever they are meant to see this, please. 1 for the Divine Feminine face down. I always deal them face down. 1 for the Divine Masculine face down. This one, yerp. And 1 for butterfly it, sure. 1, please, for the overall Cancerian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract for February, March 2020. This is Barbara Walters. Welcome to 2020. So we've got the Saboteur archetype, Divine Feminine. What's the angel with her? Now, these are the Healing with the Angels cards. So these are like, what angels are there and how are they healing? With the card of Emerging, so it can be that their sense of empowerment, right? Not so much the sense of the sabotage, but there's a decision, right? A life-changing decision of empowerment or disempowerment of their self or someone else that is emerging from within them. Hopefully that is the soul that's saying help them, empower yourself, even if it is with this Divine Masculine teacher or not. Definitely something that if you're waiting for this teacher to empower you, to make a decision that will empower or disempower you, you have your own decisions to make. You may not be aware of them, but that's okay. They're emerging the end of this month and into March. For the Divine Masculine teacher, we've got the card of Serenity. So can this teacher teach serenity by example, not just talk about it? And I can't not, like a reflex, think about the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, I have my own version of that. Ready? Because this is what it usually looks like by the time I get to the serenity prayer. Oh, good God and Goddess, all that is Zeus, Buddha, Jesus, whoever is listening, Zan, Jaina, Shaggy, Scooby, Diana, Clark, Arthur, Barry, if you know who that is, comment below. Bruce, now you know. What the fuck? Grant me the serenity to accept this crazy shit I can't do anything about, but the courage, the soul, the power to change the things I can, which is usually about how I'm looking at it, how I'm thinking about it. Help me take a break, see this differently, and the wisdom to know the difference. So can this teacher teach that? Can they teach serenity by example here? Are they able to impart that, bring some calm? And oftentimes it's, not from that place of spiritual ego. Well, here's what you're doing wrong. Great, not only are you suffering, you're wrong. Thank you, sabotorial, right? But rather to say, honey, there are things in life we can't change, There are things that are written as well as we can't change what other people do. Control them as we might, but here's what we can change, right? We can give each other space. We can let each other breathe. Now, keep in mind, there's a thievery going on here in this relationship some way, somehow. Interesting. So the angels are talking about listening. This might not be something overt, the theft that's going on. It might be passive-aggressive comments, thinly veiled but there, or heavily veiled but there. To listen, to pay attention to not just what is being said, but what is not being said. And I don't mean in that mystical way of saying like, oh, the silence between the words and the letters. No, I mean it's like, all right. So you say to someone, I love you, and they're like, oh, and then they don't say it. It's like, what the fuck, right? Pay attention to what is being said and what is not being said. There's an indication here of something being stolen, withheld, not given, held back. An opportunity. Remember, you can steal opportunities or have opportunities stolen there. And also with this card of listening on this is to know that you're being heard. Like, not like... No, not like the CIA, FBI, although probably. I don't know. They've got nothing on me. I don't know why they would be interested in me at all. Gay purple-haired witch from Long Island, probably not on their list. But in terms of spirit, in terms of vibration, as well as that spirit, if you are making a prayer, if you are working the spiritual path, if you are asking for healing, you're being heard, both of you, but there's something there. Maybe someone's listening to you and stealing ideas, right? Creative property. Now, right away, this does not immediately jump at me as being romantic sexual, but we'll see what comes up with the next row of cards. And what we're going to do, we're going to take 2 of the Daughters of the Moon Tarot, 1 for the Divine Feminine, 1 for the contract itself, and then we're going to do the same with the Mythic Tarot, 1 for the Divine Masculine and 1 for the contract itself. See how this works? Let's do this. Let's ladies first. Let's ask the goddesses. Nice deep breath. Oh, my goddesses. I have 3 goddesses that sit in the throne of Cancer. Hestia, the Virgin, the Maiden, Hera, the Mother, and Hecate, the Crone, the 3 H's. So please, my goddesses, though any goddess that would like, the voices of the collective Divine Feminine, please, I just need 2 cards, 1 for the Divine Feminine Saboteur, and 1 for this Cancerian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, twin flame contract for February into March 2020. So please, 1 first for this Divine Feminine Saboteur with something emerging face down, and 1 for this twin flame contract with the Thief somehow listening. Oh, I just got the image of a thief, like, listening. Catch that? To think I could have been a mime. Mal the mime. Mal mime. Let's get for the Divine Masculine. Nice deep breath, I told you. I'm trying to keep this stuff light, but twin flames ain't no joke. They're fucking hard. Here we go. Nice deep breath. Still point. My gods, please. 2 cards, 1 for this Divine Masculine Teacher and 1 Divine Masculine Teacher somehow with Serenity, and 1 for this Cancerian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract with the Thief listening somehow. Please, 1 for the Divine Masculine. Oh, well, I saw it, but there it goes. And 1 for the overall contract face down. It kicked. It wasn't 10 cards. It was 1. That's the one they want me to take. So let's start with the Divine Feminine. Now keep in mind we've got, the Saboteur emerging. Maybe the sabotage hasn't happened yet, or the big decision of empowerment or disempowerment hasn't emerged just yet, which is good. But lovely. At least you're dealing with a water card here, the Ace of Cups, that there is an opportunity here for an empowerment of happiness. Now, granted, a seed right? An ace of cups, something that can mature into the 10 of cups of ecstasy, but you have to take the emotional journey. But there is still a decision, because a seed, you can plant it and it can grow and you nurture it, or you crack it under your heel, right? Burn it, however you dispose of that. So still a decision there, but a decision that has great potential for happiness, to go from that ace of happy to that 10 of, in this deck, Inanna's House of Heaven, ecstasy, 10 cups overflowing. But picking up on something else here too, it's also about allowing the innate happiness of life where you are. That's part of this that's emerging, is the realization that, it doesn't matter what other people do. Ultimately, I'm in control of my own happiness. And I think that's part of that serenity too. Like the courage to change the things I can. Cœur, French word, for the heart, right? It's like, well, there is an innate happiness within my soul. That, can I let that emerge and be happy no matter what's going on here? Now, that's a big, empowering decision, even though it might be done piecemeal, like bit by bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. It's still a life-changing decision in terms of direction to empower oneself, that you can't take my happiness away, which would definitely be the light archetype, the light aspect of the thief archetype. All right, let's look at this teacher with serenity. Oh yeah, we've got the Seven of Swords. Now the Seven of Swords is always a sneaky Pete card for me. Looks that way, right? It's like, whoops, tiptoeing away. And it's often, however, though, about taking advantage. Sometimes taking advantage in a way you're supposed to take advantage. Like you get a clue, a tip, a hint from the divine, right? But it is mental, right? So we're looking at the element of air, swords here. So there is some contemplation, some plotting, and some scheming. So the nature of that, I mean, the teacher with serenity, I don't get the feeling that this is something that's necessarily traumatic, right? But it definitely speaks to the thief archetype. So we're going to let this play out and see what else is going on. Because when I have like kind of direct, I mean, unless they're very, very serene on the outside where they're pulling some fast ones, definitely considering the thief is in that third row, it's just very interesting, the Seven of Swords there. But we're going to keep going and see if that reveals itself. I've got my eye on it. So for both of them, what does the Divine Masculine say here? The Aquarian card. Oh, let me do this. We've got the Thief with listening, but the Divine Feminine, in terms of the Aquarian card, I'll get to that. And the Knight of Cups, the Pisces card. So we have two court cards here, Aquarius and Pisces, which are right next to each other in the zodiac. So keeping in mind that there's some kind of thievery going on here, or it could be shedding light on that which cannot be stolen, the truth of who you are, your soul, your ability, your capacity to love, your ability to love, all of that is choice-based, decision-based. But then we've got this thing with the Aquarius. I'm going to start there. I'll do these in zodiacal order. The Crone of Blades, Aquarius, Ixchel, the Eagle Woman, all about seeing things from the stratosphere. I say this every time this card comes up or an Aquarian inference is made. Fixed air, right? There's mutable air, Gemini. There's cardinal air, Libra. Aquarius is fixed air. It is the stratosphere, frozen, fixed air. So think about seeing something from a satellite point of view, like GPS, right? The eagle eye view, eagle flies highest. Somebody told me, a zoologist or somebody told me that actually it's the albatross that flies highest, not the eagle, but that's not good metaphor. The albatross eye view? No, we want the eagle eye view, thank you very much. Just more dignified at the end of the day. So there's something here perhaps about pulling back, right? Seeing things not just from a distance horizontally, but vertically. Getting the larger picture, and then listening, to pull back and listen. Then perhaps there are some clues here about what is return the map, return what you have stolen. Comment below if you know what movie that is. It's from my childhood. So interesting, but also then we have to look at 11th house dynamic. It's the 11th sign, the 11th house, fixed air, humanitarianism, right? How you interact with the world. The internet is very 11th house, right? Brought us together for weal or for woe, for good or for evil, however you want to see that, right? But definitely, yeah, emotive communication is in here, seeing things differently. But that can also indicate that things might be stolen on a larger scale, though subtly so. And cross that with the card of Pisces. 12th house, Knight of Cups, the romantic knight for sure. Of the four, because the Gemini is Gallop, Sagittarius is Canter, Pisces is Trot, and Virgo is Walk. So this is going along at an interesting clip here. But I can't. But the intuitive part of this is really right on. That perhaps both of you need to step back and feel. Take some distance, take some space, keep it friendly, be humanitarian, be kind about this, because there's some shit going down here, even if you're the one who's doing the thievery. If you're the divine masculine and that Seven of Swords is about stealing energy, really look back and tune into it. It's like, well, what is it that I feel like I lack that I need to steal that way? And maybe that's about listening. Listening to what is it that feels robbed, therefore must rob, right? What has been stolen from within you or feels like has been unfairly taken away, so that you have to kind of steal that. And that can be attention, that can be affection, that can be all sorts of things that you may not be able to catch unless you're pulled back and tuned in empathically, just in terms of being sensitive. Get in touch with how you feel when you see it from a distance, and you might see that it is in a sense impersonal, that anybody who was in this contract would be going through this, but I also get a feeling that it might be mutual, that there might be a mutual theft here, which really turns into a codependent relationship. Now, don't freak out over that word. Yes, it is a form of addiction. Codependence, like drugs or alcohol or workaholism or foodaholism, whatever it is that we use to medicate ourselves, it is that. We're trying to medicate some pain, rarely to do with the other person at all. It's usually something in our childhood or in a past relationship or some kind. So there's that thing of stepping back and going, well, why do I need to steal that? I need to give that to myself. No one can take that, at least the choice, the decision, or the ability to teach myself how to do that, whether you're the saboteur or the teacher on here. These twin flame reads ain't no joke. It's so intense. And that's why we're going to turn to the Ascended Masters to get you 3 of the Chuck Spezzano love pack cards. Half of the deck is the suit of problems, because you have to know what the problem is sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. The rest of the deck is the 3 suits of luck, healing, and grace. Let's see what you get. Nice deep breath. Still point. Oh, my Ascended Masters, please, 3 cards. Chuck Spezzano Love Pack, your Ascended Master guidance and grace, please. 1 for the Divine Feminine, Saboteur archetype in this Cancerian... in this Cancerian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. No, I don't want to see the card. We have little rules, me and the Pantheons. Please, 1 for this Divine Feminine. Let's do it this way. 1 for this Divine Feminine, 1 for the Divine Masculine, and 1 for the Cancerian Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign Twin Flame contract on the table for February, March 2020. Much better. 1 for the Divine Feminine. Thank you. That is much easier. 1 for the Divine Masculine. I don't see it, so it's going down. Divine Masculine. Wow, I had to flip half the deck for that one. And 1, please, for the overall contract. This Cancerian Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign Twin Flame contract for February, March 2020. Baba Walters, Baba Wawa. So we've got this Saboteur with something emerging, possibly their own empowerment, possibly their own seed of happiness. And they've got, it's a trap, or perhaps they're feeling trapped in this relationship, in this contract, hence the seed emerging. They want to empower themselves in some way. Because the funny thing about this card, as a problem suit card, like not a lot to find funny there, there is a key right outside the jail cell bars. She can't reach it, but she can walk away. There are no walls, right? So this is often a mental configuration, how we trap ourselves with our own belief systems, patternings, fears, right? So something there emerging to give that Ace of Cups, one would think a step towards emotional freedom rather than an emotional trap, particularly if something's being stolen there. It's like taking the bait. Let's see what the Divine Masculine has here. Let's do it this way. We've got the Teacher. What are they teaching? Are they teaching serenity? Because there's definitely a sneaky. Seven of Swords, sneaky. What do they got? Well, sensuality. Oh, that changes the flavor, doesn't it? Now, sensuality and sexuality are not the same thing. Someone can be very non-romantically, non-sexually sensual. Like when you walk into somebody's house and they're baking cookies, like that's scent to smell, and you're like, oh, it's like instant emotional evocation, right? So sensuality can mean all sorts of different things. Like think of a teacher as an art teacher, right? Or a music teacher, something that's going to impress the senses, or a dance teacher, right? Not saying this person is literally a teacher like that necessarily, though they may be, but with that serenity, while something tricky is going on, and sensuality, I'm not so sure. Again, this is like a tricky line. And what throws it for me is that card of serenity, or what throws it for me is why that Seven of Swords, right? Coming from that place of the Six of Swords, of mental harmony and balance, right? Moving from rough water to smooth, and then this sneaky Pete. Somehow with sensuality. And with the trap there, this could be a tender trap. Oh my God, I'm showing my age, aren't I? Let's look here. The overall contract, still not sure what that Divine Masculine thing's going on there. But we've got the Thief with listening, the Aquarian, as well as the Piscean court cards there. What's the piece? We've got the problem card of independence. Okay. It feels like these two need to take some time together. Because it's the independence card, that might indicate that there is a dependence in play here. One that has become toxic, one that has become sneaky, secretive. Things are being withheld. Even if it's just information being withheld, that is called a sin of omission. Now, I don't like the word sin. It does mean essentially error or a mistake, all part of the divine plan. But there might be some thoughts being withheld from this Divine Masculine that is, whether they know it or not, keeping this Divine Feminine Saboteur archetype trapped from empowering herself. Now, if she knew what it was, she'd probably make the decision that the teacher wouldn't want them to make, because there is something very sensual going on here. Now, that does, again, that sensuality thing doesn't immediately say romantic sexual, but it doesn't say that it's not either. We still have other cards to look at. But then with this card, they really need to pull back. They need to pull back and see this differently. I know this is a problem card, and there is a problem with independence. When we go independent, we cut everybody out. I'm going to do it all by myself. That's the voice of the ego. But with what we've got going on here with listening, right? With the Piscean, listening to the intuition, listening to the higher mind, seeing the larger picture, see what's being stolen, that might take some independence to do, independent thought, right? Not like, well, what do you feel? No. It's what do I feel? I may have to be an island for a little bit right now. Pull back, see this differently. You know, and I said this earlier, this may not be intentional theft. It may just be habitual stealing energy. People don't even realize how vampiric they can be, how draining they could be if someone steals your energy that way, if that's how this is playing itself out. So though this is a problem card, I mean, if we're going to talk vampiric, it's going to feel like the Divine Masculine is more the vampire, the Divine Feminine, the food, the blood bag, the victim, if you will. Maybe there is something narcissistic going on here. But what a brilliant lesson to pull back and see things from a larger point of view, perhaps a spiritual point of view, so that nobody has to abuse or neglect or codepend anymore, but can say, oh, this is a twin flame. This is about me learning how to give to myself what I'm trying to get from you. Okay, both sides, right? Let's get 3 more. We're gonna, well, 4 more. The 4th card will be the healing mantra card so that you have something to work with for the next month or so. But we're going to ask the higher selves of all involved through the Whispers of Love Oracle. And these cards sometimes call it right out, like call you on the mat, right? Call you on the carpet. So let's do that. Nice, deep, centering, still point breath. Oh, the higher selves of all involved, please. 3 cards, 1 for the Divine Feminine, 1 for the Divine Masculine, and 1 for the overall Cancerian Collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Sign, Soulmate, Twin Flame Contract for February, March 2020. Please, higher selves of all involved. Here we go. 1 for the Divine the Divine Feminine. We're doing these in order. Man, this retrograde. 1 for the Divine Masculine in this contract, please, the Teacher, and 1 for the overall Cancerian Collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Sign, Twin Flame Contract for February, March 2020, or Timeless. All right. Once again, we've got the Saboteur, something emerging. Ace of Cups, right? Ace of Happiness. Happiness written on the card. But feeling the problem, feeling or being trapped in some way. Look at your pattern in relationships. It requires strength to recognize that you need to change or modify your behavior. So the key is within. The key out of the trap is within the Divine Feminine Saboteur. She's got a decision to make. Now this is coming through. You may be terrified to make this decision, but once you make it, you won't be terrified anymore. And remember, you can always decide yet again. That's from Course in Miracles. Holy Spirit, decide for God for me. Help me choose yet again, decide yet again. I'm putting it as decide here. So look at your patterns in relationships, which is kind of saying, pull back and look. How has this happened to you before? How have you been trapped here before? How have you been stolen from before? It's pretty heavy duty. We've got this Divine Masculine Teacher, somehow with Serenity, which is still throwing me a little bit. Not really sure why you would need to be serene and then sneaky about it, unless really this sensuality is pulling you in a different direction. Now, if this is not a romantic sexual context, why would that matter? Right? It's like you do you, I do me. But that really does lead to that this might very well be a romantic sexual thing. Let's say, well, here we go. Demonstrate love. Find out what is important to the people you love and act on it. Well, I could get that for a teacher wanting to do that. Here, I want to learn. I'm going to teach myself. What is it? How can I demonstrate love to this person, right? By the way, does it say find out what is important? So the teacher may have to learn here. But then is that what sort of the sneaky is about? I don't get that. I don't get that with that 7 of Swords there. Yeah, as I tune to it, it's very covert activity. Covert communications demonstrate love, sensuality, and serenity. I still don't get this one. Maybe the healing mantra will help. Let's look at this last one, because I don't want to just say that this is the thief. No, there's a theft going on in the whole contract itself. It's not about assigning blame. It's with this Serenity card, the contradiction to me is the Serenity card with the 7 of Swords with sensuality. Almost feels like the sensuality is a cover-up or bait. But that can't be in every part of the collective, can it? Well, nothing can be in every part of the collective except maybe the zodiacal signs. Let's just get this down and have a look. All right. So the overall relationship. We've got the thief archetype with listening. Now, listening can be a part of that demonstrate love, find out how this can heal. See, that's what makes me feel like this isn't a romantic sexual relationship. Like a parent or a child would do this to kind of heal things, patch things up. But remember, you have to heal yourself, right? So pull back, see the larger picture, get the deeper gut, take the independent, more empowered point of view, because express love through gifts. Giving a small token to someone expresses your love for them. Well, maybe this can be at least temporarily rectified through giving a small gift. Perhaps a gift of honesty, perhaps giving back what has been stolen. And if it's an intangible, how about an apology? How about, I am so sorry this got so complex. This is because when I was a child, or this is because the way I was raised, or this is because the last relationship that I was in. And again, regardless of whether this is romantic or sexual, because there are cards that would come right out and say it in these decks. I love when that happens, because it makes my job a little bit easier. I don't have to kind of feel it all throughout the quantum field. But that expressing love through gifts really does say that there's an opportunity for healing here, and even the giving of the gift is at least a sign of love, a personal attempt at growth, of expanding. But with that teacher archetype, if they really are at peace with no matter what happens, and there is some subterfuge going on, there is some sneaky stuff, at least some sneaky communication that is somehow sensual in nature, then they need to kind of get clear how to demonstrate that love, at least to others, that's something that they learn for themselves. That is still a mystery to me, and you know me, I can usually get with total clarity, or at least partial clarity, what something is. But there might just be something very mysterious, very hidden about this divine masculine teacher archetype in general. One more card down, maybe this will help. Usually the last card down, when it's the Healing Mantra deck by Metcon, which gives you a mantra to work throughout the next month, right, or so, moving forward. By repeating the words of the mantra, you're signaling to the soul that you're ready to heal in this particular way. So one side of the card is the name of the mantra, the other the mantra itself. I will use the name of the mantra to look it up in the little bookie book, which is incredibly helpful. Highly recommend this deck. I can get no kickbacks, no money. I will eventually probably partner with Amazon, so if you buy it through Amazon, I'll get a piece, but today's not that day. Business manager to figure all this shit. It's a lot of fine print. My eyes aren't what they used to be. This eye's amazing. These, I'm wearing contact lenses. Nice deep breath. Oh, my Ascended Masters, this is a knockdown drag out. Please, we're gonna need a break. I've got 2 more to do today, so please, my Ascended Masters, a real piece of clarity, a real healing mantra, one that you haven't delivered. My Ascended Masters of Twin Flame Contracts. Still point. Please, one card in clarity. For this overall Cancerian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign Twin Flame contract, what is going on here? What is the healing mantra that will heal either the divine masculine, the divine feminine, or both of them, whoever's watching this as they repeat this mantra? Cross-watcher, who cares? There needs to be some healing here, because I still don't get what that is, unless this divine masculine is really lying, manipulating, getting away with shit, using their sensuality and looking all serene, but needing to demonstrate love. I mean, it really paints this divine masculine as a villain. And maybe they are, right? Maybe they are. But there's a huge opportunity then here for there to really be a healing here, but it needs to be seen as impersonally as possible, like from the atmosphere. That this isn't about wanting to hurt each other, it's just how they're both wired. Thank you, my Ascended Masters. What's the healing mantra for this? Wow. Yeah. Become a clairvoyant empath with clairaudient tendencies for fun and profit. Celebrating simplicity. I am more fulfilled when there is less to manage and maintain. I am more fulfilled when there is less to manage and maintain. Let's get you from ye old bookie book. Celebrating simplicity. A very interesting read. I would love to read one of you privately just to find out what this is. But that's the old soap opera watcher in me. I want to know how this ends. Celebrating simplicity. I'm more fulfilled when there is less to manage and maintain. When there are fewer details to manage, you are able to receive more joy. All right, so if there's lots of moving parts in this one, right? Need to see it from that simpler point of view. The more commitments that pile up in your life, the less likely you are to find the time to take everything in. Which may absolutely talk about how we take on too many commitments to our time, to our energy, and therefore sabotage ourselves. Particularly if we teach in some way, we can take on too many lessons, too many students to impart. Once moving parts have been arranged in a proper working balance, simplicity can be celebrated, and you can glean the most benefit from your reality. So this relationship needs to be simplified, that's for sure. This mantra is ideal for creating stronger boundaries. I think that's a big part of this. Healing your inner people pleaser. Look at your pattern in relationships, Divine Feminine. And finding moments of serenity. Celebrating simplicity. I am more fulfilled when there are less things to manage and maintain. Speaking of which, let's get you an overview here with a lovely magic clap. I'll pop up the spread in a picture form. Magic clap. So we've got this Divine Feminine Saboteur, something emerging, possibly a seed of happiness, but may feel trapped and needs to look at her pattern in relationships. See, that one reads like a complete sentence. The Divine Masculine here, a teacher, maybe a teacher of serenity, maybe a teacher appearing to be serene, while Seven of Swords sort of skulking around in the shadows, either communicating or gathering information of some kind. And if that information is how to demonstrate love, finding out what is important to the people you love and acting on it, then that can be done in a sensual way that does not necessarily indicate sexuality, although that is probably part of the collective here too. That's the cleanest I can come up with this. Otherwise, that Seven of Swords throws me as something is off, underhanded, covert, not great going on here. Particularly that is highlighted by this third line of the thief, right? The thief archetype, something being stolen or highlighting that which cannot be stolen. And this does feel like this can be done on both sides. The Divine Feminine a bit more covert, the Divine Masculine maybe a bit overt in terms of what is being stolen, their powers that each of them think they lack. But with that card of listening from the angels, to really pay attention, to listen to your honor code, what's going on in your solar plexus. Listen to that which is your conscience more than your consciousness, because even the tarot cards here, the Divine Feminine is saying, Aquarius, pull back, see it from an impersonal point of view. This can be about family patterns. This can be about abuse and neglect and codependency from the past. But with that card of the Knight of Cups, that Piscean card, definitely talking about not just see it from the larger Aquarian point of view, the egalitarian, great word considering that's eagle. Look up that word egalitarian for the eagle woman. But with that Piscean Knight of Cups, to really listen to the gut, listen to the intuition, listen to the emotions. There's something there that the soul is trying to communicate. And with this card of independence here, right, like listening to all of that Aquarian, Piscean point of view and feeling, with that card of independence, perhaps needing to take some time alone. Not lonely time, solitary time. The card of the Hermit could have come up there, but this card came up instead. And know that you're dancing on a fine line there with the toxicity of independence, saying you don't need anybody. That even cuts you off from spirit and help and guidance. So to watch that, make sure that you're really tuned in emotionally, intuitively, as well as intellectually. And then expressing love through gifts. If both of you can share what you've learned, if both of you can make your apologies, then, if this is a family situation, a work situation, then giving small tokens to someone expresses your love to them. But if this is romantic sexual, that might just prolong the inevitable here. But if you're married and you have kids and property and all of that stuff too, then maybe this is how you got to really understand, this is how you're wired, this is how I'm wired. I'm going to give to myself my own happiness, says the Divine Feminine. I'm going to give myself my own sensuality, says the Divine Masculine. And as long as they're all in agreement with that, if that can be negotiated, blessed be, because you know what that would create? Simplicity, right? You'd be able to celebrate simplicity. I'm more fulfilled when there is less to manage and maintain, particularly the emotional, mental aspects of a transformative, tumultuous twin flame contract. So, my Cancerian collective, whether you are the divine feminine or the divine masculine here, that's celebrating simplicity. Don't forget that one. I'm more fulfilled, because that's what you're both wanting. Fulfillment seems like in happiness and sensuality, respectively, of the divine feminine and divine masculine. I am more fulfilled when there is less to manage and maintain. This relationship can be simplified. But it's not going to be easy, but it's better than being trapped or having to skulk around. And that's what I see for you. May this Cancerian collective Sun, Moon, Rising Venus sign twin flame contract be blessed with all that it needs to heal, to celebrate simplicity, to demonstrate love, to express love through gifts, and so that they can all look at their patterns in their relationships, freeing themselves from the trap, finding their own sensuality, their own happiness through serenity, as this empowerment emerges from the divine feminine, as this teacher perhaps learns how and teaches how and demonstrates love with all of that, that they may listen to the truth of who they are, knock off any theft that's going on here consciously or unconsciously, and find that which can never be stolen within them and give that as gifts as well for the well-being of all. And so it is. So mote it be. Amen. Hallelujah. Pass the Chardonnay. Wishing you the very best and very blessed. And I don't know if I said it in this one, but do go check out my Facebook group, Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short. There's a link in the box below. Because we are offering pretty much around, I won't say around the clock, but consistent support in that closed, private group. Not just from myself, but there are a lot of great people in that group, and we just passed like 400 members. So we're building pretty quickly. Cool. Thank you so much for watching. Wishing you the very best and the very blessed of the February and March. But for now, my darlings, my Cancerians, my crablets, hail, farewell, and blessed be.